तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and we started yesterday chapter 16 with the devotees at Dakshineshwar, second time, Sunday, December 9, 1883. And we read a little, let us repeat that. Sri Ramakrishna was seated on the small coach in his room with other Manomohan, Rakhan, M, Harish, and other devotees. We know all of them. It was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The master was describing to them the exalted state of Sri Chaitanya. Master, Chaitanya experienced 3 states of mind. First, the conscious state, that means externally conscious, when his mind dwelt on the gross and the subtle. Gross and the subtle, both he is calling external state. Second, the semi-conscious state, when his mind entered the causal body. That is, the body which you have during deep sleep, where the seeds of all the sanskaras, seeds of the mind, seeds of the indriyas, everything is in seed form. So, Thakur's description differs from the description of Chaitanya Charitamrita. We must find that both gross and subtle is calling the external consciousness. Because even the subtle, he has to see something other than himself. That is called external consciousness. He is seeing something other than himself, both in the waking state and in the subtle state, in the gross state and in the subtle state. So both are called external. And semi-conscious. Some people call semi-conscious as the dream. No. Semi-conscious means consciousness is there. I consciousness is there. But the mind has not gone outside of himself. I consciousness is there. So conscious. But semi-conscious because he is not seeing outside of himself. So what is he doing? When his mind entered the causal body means, take the example of the dreamless sleep. There he is not aware of anything outside of himself. That is the causal body. Causal body is from that cause he comes back to dream and waking state or the subtle and the gross state. So that is the cause of this. So it is called the causal body. Body because his personality is still there. Causal body because the cause of the gross and subtle bodies. and he is not aware of anything outside of himself, so semi. Conscious because he is conscious of I consciousness. This is called the semi-conscious state by Sri Ramakrishna, who knows better than all of us, who knows best the states of the mind, who knows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu best, because he was also his incarnation. And was absorbed in the bliss of divine intoxication in that semi-conscious state. He is identified with the causal body and absorbed in the bliss of divine intoxication. What the Vaishnavas called Mahabhav. Mahabhav is divine intoxication in the bliss of his mind was merged, mind and was absorbed in the bliss of divine intoxication. Absorbed, merged are different words, please. Absorbed, the example of absorbed is milk in water. If you shake violently, it will precipitate. But as it is, it is not transparent. So milk, solid particles are not dissolved in water and not precipitated also. That is called suspension. My Guruji used to say, the eye is not seen, but it is suspended. And that is called absorbed. You know, some surface is there, some wet surface is there like a sponge, and if you keep it on something, that becomes absorbed. And merged is that thing is not seen outside. So merged means dissolved. I hope I made it clear what Thakur is telling, that all this he is describing as semi-conscious state, because the I consciousness is still there. Whether it is bhava or mahabhava, I consciousness is still there, but it is absorbed in the bliss of divine consciousness. Thakur will himself tell, in the Vedanta, this is identified as Anandamaya Kosha. Anandamaya, but Kosha. So, not yet the reality, but divine intoxication, filled with bliss. So, Thakur himself will tell about the corresponding Vedantic description. Thakur is the prophet of harmony. So he combines the devotional moods, he harmonizes the devotional moods with Vedantic bhumikas. And so, now, third, the inmost state, Antardasha, when his mind was merged in the great cause. Yesterday I explained to you what is this great cause. Mahakaran. Mahakaran is the cause of everything, but it does not undergo the cause-effect transformation. And so it is called Mahakaran. Karan is Ishvara Vidya Avyakta world, deep sleep. That is the Karan of gross and subtle. But Mahakaran is the cause of all. Cause of all means what? Without that, nothing of this exists. If in imagination we minus that, then nothing exists. So it is the cause. But it does not undergo the cause-effect change, so it is called Mahakaran. So this Mahakaran, mind was merged in the Mahakaran, So, mind was identified with the Mahakaran. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not exist now. The Supreme God Himself exists in that body and mind. So, that is called Mahakaran. How beautiful is this description! Beyond admiration is Thakur's description. We do not find this description everywhere. And Thakur is telling now, this agrees very well with the 5 koshas or sheets described in the Vedanta. See how Thakur has harmonized sheets. That means not his nature. Something which is covering his nature is called the sheet. The gross body corresponds to the Annamaya kosha and the Pranamaya kosha. Gross body, Pranamaya kosha, some people say pranas are subtle, but in the waking state, in the gross consciousness, we do feel our pranas function. And so, Thakur is describing the gross body corresponds to the Annamaya kosha and the Pranamaya kosha. The subtle body, both gross and subtle, is telling external consciousness. The subtle body to the Manomaya kosha. So, that also is included in the external consciousness. But body is not cared for. Pranas function or not, it is in the Manomaya kosha. Mind is very much functioning. And Manomaya and Vijnanamaya kosha. Vijnanamaya means I consciousness. So Vijnanamaya kosha, I consciousness is not the real consciousness. It is the reality of the I consciousness. So I consciousness also is a sheath, Vijnanamaya kosha. And the causal body to the Anandamaya kosha. Causal body, he has described semi-conscious state, causal body, and that is Anandamaya kosha. He is intoxicated with bliss, nothing but bliss. But he is there. He is intoxicated with bliss, divinely intoxicated with bliss. So that is Anandamaya kosha. That Thakur calls as the semi-conscious state. The Mahakaran, the great cause, is beyond the 5 sheets. So that is the reality. Beyond the 5 sheets is the reality. Tasya pucham prati, Brahma pucham pratishtha. The Taittiriya Upanishad only has given these 5 koshas and he describes Brahman is the Adhar beyond the Anandamaya kosha. Adhar of the Anandamaya kosha. So it is the Mahakaran. Wonderful. This is the best description of Chaitanya Dev available anywhere in the world. When Chaitanya's mind merged in that, he would go into Samadhi. So Thakur is calling that as Samadhi. This is called the Nirvikalpa or Jada Samadhi. Anything? Any more doubt in anybody's mind? Thakur is calling it Nirvikalpa or Jada Samadhi. That means absolutely no outside consciousness. So it is called Jada. And Nirvikalpa, what is the meaning of Nirvikalpa? Brahman and something else, that is called Vikalpa. Brahman, nothing else other than Brahman. That is called the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. What is that else? I consciousness. And bliss resulting from the union of I consciousness with its reality Brahman. Please remember in this respect, in Vedanta, union, unity consciousness, unitary consciousness describes Aham Brahmasmi, intoxication with the divine bliss. Identity, no difference, abheda, advaita is the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So, this is what Thakur is describing. He knows the best and is describing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's glory, exalted states. This is called the Nirvikalpa or Jada Samadhi. Nobody need have any doubt. And that itself is sums up now. While conscious of the outer world, Chaitanya sang the name of God. So outer world also, he does not say, talk to people ordinarily. He sang the name of God. So God is like outside him. He is like outside God. And so he chants the name. While in the state of partial consciousness, which was called semi-consciousness, that is called partial consciousness, he danced with the devotees. That is, semi-conscious state was described. Mind entered the causal body and was absorbed in the bliss of divine intoxication. So this bliss of divine intoxication makes him dance. That is how the dance originated. The Indian concept of dance or the real concept of dance is that dance has started from Maheshwara. Shiva, when he is in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, is different. But when he is intoxicated with joy, he dances. And from that only, the whole science of dance, Bharatnatyam or whatever you call it, Bharata's Natya Shastra is based upon that. Not only that, even Panini's grammar, he says, when Shiva, after the dance, sounded his drum 9 and 5, 14 times, then Panini got some sutras, Maheshwara Sutra, and rest is human development based upon that Maheshwara Sutra. So it is from Shiva's dance that the entire world has originated. Because the world has originated, so the world has originated. And so this is dance. When one is intoxicated with divine bliss, the hands and feet have to express that. He is almost unaware of that. And so this is the description of the partial consciousness. With the devotees, because dancing, they also are dancing. They are dancing as reflections of him, associates of him. Influenced by his dance, they are dancing. And while in the inmost state of consciousness, he remained absorbed in samadhi. Second time, he has used the word samadhi. 3 times description. First time, great cause. Second time, great cause equated with samadhi, nirvikalpa or jada. Third time, samadhi. Now, how Thakur is able to describe all this so correctly? So, in M's mind, the idea has come. M to himself. Is the master hinting at the different states of his own mind? There is much similarity between Chaitanya and the master. He has observed Sri Ramakrishna in these 3 states. And so, he is describing Chaitanya's states correctly. Now, what is Chaitanya's states? Master Masha did not know. So Master Masha is knowing through Sri Ramakrishna. And he is describing Chaitanya. And Master Masha thinks it corresponds to his own state. So understood. He understands and describes correctly because he is made of the same stuff of which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is made. So that is the correct description. Nobody else can describe so correctly. Master, Chaitanya was divine love incarnate. Divine love, remember, not human love. Divine love, body is Chaitanya Dev. Now what is love? Divine love is not the attraction between two particles. It appears like that. That is called, these days the word is used very much, you know. Chemistry, chemistry, chemistry. Chemistry means hydrogen has one electron in its orbit. Fluorine has 7 electrons in its orbit. The orbit becomes complete if there are 8 electrons. So, when hydrogen and chlorine come together, they mix up, combine. The nuclear, the protons of both of them mix, and in the same orbit we have got the 8 electrons. This is the chemistry. This chemistry is not real love. What is real love? Identity. One God only takes two forms. Automatically they are attracted. So that is seen in divine bliss. Divine love incarnate. That is divine love, and embodiment of that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He came down to earth to teach people how to love God. So we can follow the divine love, then our love will become divine. So that is how he teaches. One achieves everything when one loves God. And that is Thakur's constant theme, which the Jnanis do not understand. Love is the force. Now take hydrogen and chlorine, for example. Love is the force will make not only union but identity between God and his appearances which we are. So that is called love. Everything is achieved, the consciousness becomes changed if we love God. So that attraction, in Thakur's language, magnet attracting the needle. In philosophical language, self-centripetence, the self attracting its own shadows. So love can give us everything. One achieves everything when one loves God. There is no need of Hatha Yoga. Some people think we must force our indriyas to stop working. We must force our body to stop working. We must force our mind to become quiet. That is called Hatha Yoga. Sri Ramakrishna says there is no need of Hatha Yoga. If the love grows, then automatically everything outside is given up and the jiva goes to Brahman. Everything becomes achieved. So because he has used the word, the question comes. A devotee, sir, what is Hatha Yoga like? Master, a man practicing Hatha Yoga. So Hatha Yoga can be described by a people practicing that dwells a great deal on his body. Here we are forgetting the body, and there he dwells a great deal on the body. He washes his intestines by means of a bamboo tube through his anus. He draws ghee and milk through his sexual organ. He learns how to manipulate his tongue by performing exercises. So everything physically, willfully done. He sits in a fixed posture and now and then leviates. Leviates means he becomes lighter than gravity, than earth, than air. And so he goes up without any support below. These are realities. Recently, maybe within last 100 years, a man, officer, staying single, he had employed a cook cum servant. And when the master used to go to the office, he left the house in his charge. And that man used to practice Hatha Yoga. Once, due to something, the master came very early to the house. And when he saw his cook cum servant, his head was touching the roof and he was hanging like that. That made the master declare, my servant is like this, and it had become a famous story in Bengal. So, why I am describing, but these are actual facts. He learns how to manipulate his tongue by performing exercises. He sits in a fixed posture and now and then leviates. All these are actions of prana. So pranayama or prana is the main thing in Hatha Yoga. Some people have seen in that generation, there was one Ram Murti from South India, and he could pull a motor car. He could stop a motor car running by holding a rope tied to the motor car in his teeth. I have seen in my school days, these Hatha Yogis come and a long spear or arrow extended, you may say, spear, and that point he touches to his throat. And the other end, he presses against a wall. And then he walks near the wall. The rod bends, but his throat is not hurt by that point. This I myself see. So, that is all prana is being stopped, it does not pierce. So, and I have heard, which I have not seen, I have seen a man who said he had done like that. For 1 month, he got buried below the surface of the earth. No breathing. So, Hatha Yoga is forcefully stopping the breath. And all this is on the body. All these are actions of prana. A magician was performing his feats when his tongue turned up and clove to the roof of his mouth. Hatha Yogi can do it willfully, but this magician did it accidentally. Immediately his body became motionless. People thought he was dead. He was buried and remained many years in the grave. After a long time, the grave somehow broke open. Suddenly the man regained consciousness of the world and cried out, "Come delusion, come confusion." That is what the magicians shout. come delusion, come confusion, so that people will be deluded and see their magic. All laugh. All these are actions of prana. So he described Hatha Yoga. The Vedantis do not accept Hatha Yoga. There is also Raja Yoga. So when Hatha Yoga is mentioned, Raja Yoga comes. Raja Yoga describes how to achieve union with God through the mind by means of discrimination and bhakti. So please, Raja Yoga is not Patanjali Yoga, but the yoga through discrimination and bhakti. This yoga is good. Hatha Yoga is not good. The life of a man in the Kali Yuga is dependent on food. So much control and all that is not achieved by man. So this is the first incident. Casually the word Hatha Yoga came, Thakur explained, and so Raja Yoga also came. Sri Ramakrishna was standing in the road by the side of the Navabat. Navabat means music room. Music room is near his room, not far from his room. And outside that the road runs within the temple compound. And he was standing there. He was on his way to his room, having come from the pine grove. Pine grove, it is called Kasurina also. And Kasurina, thick forest like was there. There Sri Ramakrishna used to go for answering calls of nature. So having done that, he is coming back to his room. In between is the Panchavati, where Thakur did his sadhana. Navabat. Navabat also is there in between Panchavati, Navabat, then his room. Music room. He saw M seated on the veranda of the Navabat, behind the fence, absorbed in meditation. So Mahendra was meditating, absorbed in meditation. Master, hello, you are here. You will get results very soon. If you practice a little, then someone will come forward to help you. Master Masha was not yet initiated. And so Thakur is telling, you start your practice, someone will come and tell you, do like this or do like that. M looked up at the master, startled, he remained sitting on the floor. Suddenly master had come and he called him. Master, the time is ripe for you. The mother bird does not break the shell of the egg until the right time arrives. So inside it has grown, so it breaks the shell. What I told you is indeed your ideal. So they had talked about it and Thakur had showed him and told him this is your ideal. That only refers here. Sri Ramakrishna again mentioned to him his spiritual ideal. And that M will not reveal. Twice this thing has come. Again Sri Ramakrishna told him that much he reports. That Sri Ramakrishna knows everything. To that effect he has mentioned this. He is ready to help and guide sadhaks of all types. That is the inner meaning here. Master, it is not necessary for all to practice great austerity. But I went through great suffering. Not necessary for all. That means to the sadhak who is very low, for him it is necessary. Middling, not necessary. And Thakur has beyond all sadhanas, but he has performed sadhanas on the behalf of the entire humanity. And that is why he had to undergo. So understand, everybody does not have to undergo. But Thakur, that means apparently lower than others, actually beyond everybody. But for the sake of others, in the cosmic sense, he has done it. We are near Belur Math where Holy Mother did Panchatapa, and she herself had said, I did not need it, I have done it for you all. But I went through great suffering. I used to lie on the ground with my head resting on a mound for a pillow. I hardly noticed the passing of the days. I only called on God and wept, oh mother, oh mother. So, love, seeking the identity. M had been visiting Sri Ramakrishna for the past 2 years. Since he had been educated along English lines, he had acquired a fondness for Western philosophy and science, and I'd like to hear Keshav and other scholars lecture. Sri Ramakrishna would address him now and then as the Englishman. Since coming to Sri Ramakrishna, M had lost all relish for lectures and for books written by English scholars. The only thing that appealed to him now was to see the master day and night, and hear the words that fell from his blessed lips. So, seeing the conditions, seeing the states, and listening to the words, M constantly dwelt on certain of Sri Ramakrishna's sayings according to his constitution. The master had said, one can certainly see God through the practice of spiritual discipline. And again, the vision of God is the only goal of human life. So, basing upon this, Master Masha is practicing, and Sri Ramakrishna says, your mind is now ready. Master to him, if you practice only a little, again he repeats that, someone will come forward to tell you the right path. Observe the Ekadashi. So, some hints. Observe the Ekadashi means Ekadashi, the 11th day of the lunar fortnight. Twice it comes in the month. And there, fasting one does. That is called observing the Ekadashi. That regulates, tones up the mental health and a little hardship to the body. You are my very own, my relative. Otherwise, why should you come here so frequently? He is convincing him that you are my own. That is why you are coming so regularly. Like a relative. See the word relative is used here. I was talking to some person in the afternoon. I said in the worldly sense, in the physical sense, Master Masha is the son of Sri Ramakrishna. Rakhal Maharaj of Brahmananda is the spiritual son. But in the physical sense, Master Masha is the son. You see, Thakur is telling almost like that. While listening to the Kirtan, I had a vision of Rakhal, Rakhal name has come, in the midst of Shri Krishna's companions in Vrindavan. So he refers to Rakhal. Because by association, Rakhal is also Thakur's son. He had seen that. He hints that I have seen you also. Narendra belongs to a very high level. Hirananda too. Hirananda, a devotee of the master from Sindh. For studying, he was in Calcutta. Afterwards, he went back to Sindh and was editor of 2 newspapers. Hearing Sri Ramakrishna's illness, he had come to visit him again. We will find him toward the end of the gospel again. So Thakur is praising Hirananda. Hirananda too means like Narendra. How childlike his nature is. What a sweet disposition he has. I want to see him too. Because Thakur seeing him or he seeing Thakur will elevate his mind to the highest. He wanted to take Thakur to Sindh, better climate, but it was not possible practically. And he described the pajamas which the Sindhi people popularized in India. That will suit you as a dress, he said. Very loving Sri Ramakrishna. And in temperament opposite to Narendranath, but level same. Once I saw the companions of Chaitanya not in a trance but with these very eyes. That means during Bhav, Sri Ramakrishna used to see so many things, but by these very eyes he saw. Formerly I was in such an exalted state of mind that I could see all these things with my naked eyes. He has said God cannot be seen by naked eyes. So his naked eyes themselves had risen to that level. That is the meaning. Exalted state he is telling. His whole body had become the love body as is described in the gospel. And that is why he saw by naked eyes in an exalted state. But always one cannot remain there. One cannot keep the body always. So he has to come down for our sake. But now I see them in samadhi. So samadhi is of two types. There he describes the nirvikalpa or jada samadhi. This samadhi is called bhava samadhi or savikalpa samadhi. Mind is extremely concentrated, that is called samadhi. But he is seeing people, so it is not nirvikalpa samadhi. It is a high state of the mind. I saw the companions of Chaitanya with these naked eyes. I think I saw you there. Yes. Think because he is not directly telling that, but he thinks that he saw Master Mashe there. Rakhal was seen with Krishna and Master Mashe and Balaram too. So they were Chaitanya's companions. Master Mashe, Balaram Babu were Chaitanya's companions. And Thakur, in a state of bhava or samadhi, has seen both of them. You must have noticed that when I see certain people, I jump up with a start. Do you know why? A man feels that way when he sees his own people after a long time. Own people, you understand? Thakur himself was Chaitanya. So they were his own people. They again come to him, so he jumps out of joy or surprise. Welcome. I used to pray to the mother, crying, Mother, if I do not find the devotees, I will surely die. How will he remain in the world? He cannot mix with the worldly people. Please bring them to me immediately. In those days, whatever desire arose in my mind would come to pass. I planted a tulsi grove in the Panchavati in order to practice japa and meditation. I wanted very much to fence it around with bamboo sticks. Soon afterwards, a bundle of bamboo sticks and some string were carried by the flood tide of the Ganges right in front of the Panchavati. A temple servant noticed them and joyfully told me. So Thakur himself has described this incident. In that state of divine exaltation, I could no longer perform the formal worship. karma drops away. That is the karma nishtha, mind rises above and the karma drops away. Mother, I said, who will look after me? I haven't the power to take care of myself. But mother wants him to stay in the world, so he has to say, who will take care of me? I want to listen only to talk about thee. I want to feed thy devotees. I want to give a little help to those whom I chance to meet. That is the purpose of the incarnation. He is not going about seeking people, but those who meet, chance to meet. How will all that be possible, mother? Give me a rich man to stand by me. That is why Mathur Babu did so much to serve me. 14 years, Mathur Babu, proprietor of that temple, almost served Thakur like anything, financially and otherwise also. I said further, certainly I shall not have any children. Mother, but it is my desire that a boy with sincere love for God should always remain with me. Give me such a boy. So Thakur himself had prayed. And that is the reason Rakhal came here. Those whom I think of as my own are part and parcel of me. So, God, Brahman is Nirvikalpa, Nirgun, he does not have parts. But Saguna Brahma, God with mind, has parts, and they are parts of God. Part and parcel of me. That means part and parcel means part not separate from him. The master started again for the Panchavati, accompanied by him. No one else was with them. Sri Ramakrishna, with a smile, narrated to him various incidents of the past years of his life. Master, you see, one day, but he has published now. You see, one day I saw a strange figure covering the whole space from the Kali temple to the Panchavati. Do you believe this? That means super sensuous vision. M remained silent with wonder. He plucked one or two leaves from a branch in the Panchavati and put them in his pocket out of the divine love. Master, see there, that branch has been broken. I used to sit under it. M. I took a young twig from that tree. I have it at home. So that is called love. That is called veneration. That is called taking advantage of others' spirituality for your own progress. Master with a smile, why? M. I feel happy when I look at it. After all this is over, the place will be considered very holy. All this will be over means when Thakur will go beyond the range of our eyes, then this place itself will be called holy. Today we see Master smiling. What kind of holy place? Like Panyati? Panyati, where one of the associates of Chaitanya did some utsav under his instruction of Nityananda. So like that, almost every year for some time past, the master had been attending the religious festival at Panyati. We have got one description here already. It was evening. So that must talk at that time when Master Mahasaya was alone. It was evening. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on the small couch in his room, absorbed in meditation on the Divine Mother. The evening worship in the temples began with the music of gong and conch. M was going to spend the night with the master. After a time, Sri Ramakrishna asked them to read from the Bhakti Mala, a book about the Vaishnava saints. Bhaktamala, not Bhaktimal. Bhaktamala, garland of description of devotees' lives. M. Read. There was a king named Jayamal who loved Krishna with all his heart. He followed with unfailing devotion all the rites and ceremonies associated with the adoration of Krishna, whom he worshipped under the name of Shamala Sundara, because Krishna is of a slightly darker complexion, so Shamala, but extremely beautiful, so Shamala Sundara. Completely satisfied with his own ideal deity, he never directed his attention to any other god or goddess. That is the typical of Bhaktamal. Thakur himself will tell it is one-sided. But the Nishtha is there. One of the inflexible rules of his devotions was to worship the deity daily till almost midday. He would never deviate from that practice, even at the risk of his wealth or his kingdom, because they may come and steal away. He was a king. Learning this secret, an enemy king invaded the kingdom during the morning hours. Jaimal's soldiers could not fight without his command, so they watched the invasion silently. Slowly the enemy surrounded the moat of the capital. Generally, the moat, water is put around the capital. They surrounded the moat of the capital, yet Jaimal did not come out of his shrine room. His mother came to him and wept bitterly, trying to persuade the king to fight. He said to her calmly, "Why are you worried? Shamala Sundara gave me this kingdom. What can I do if he has decided to take it away? On the other hand, none will be able to do me harm if he protects me. Our own efforts are vain." That is the total dependence on God, knowing that everything moves by His will. And actually, in the meantime, Shamal Sundar, the deity himself, had taken the king's horse from the stable and had ridden fully armed to the field. Alone he faced the hostile king and alone destroyed the enemy. Having crushed the enemy forces, the deity returned to the temple and fastened the horse nearby. Jaimal, on completing his worship, came out and discovered the horse there, panting and covered with sweat. "Who has been riding my horse?" he demanded. "Who brought it to the temple?" The officers declared they knew nothing about it. In a pensive mood, the king proceeded to the battlefield with his army, and they there found the enemy, with the exception of their leader, lying dead. He was staring uncomprehendingly at the scene when the enemy king approached, worshipped him, and said, "Please permit me to tell you something. How could I fight? You have a warrior who could conquer the entire world. I do not want your wealth or your kingdom. Indeed, I will gladly give you my own if you will tell me about that." "Blue warrior, your friend." No sooner did I turn my eyes on him than he cast a spell on my heart and soul. Jaimal then realized that it had been none other than Shamala Sundara that had appeared on the battlefield. He is described as blue, slightly darker, so Shamal. The enemy king understood too. He worshipped Jaimal and through his blessings received Krishna's grace. "Master, do you believe all that? Do you believe Krishna rode on that horse and killed Jaimal's enemies?" M. I believe that Jaimal, Krishna's devotee, prayed to him with a yearning heart, but I don't know whether the enemy really saw him coming to the battlefield on a horse. Krishna might have come there riding the horse, but I do not know whether they really saw him. Because God cannot be seen by these eyes. But God can appear in the gross form. Master with a smile. The book contains nice stories about devotees, but it is one-sided. Also, it abuses those who differ with its view. So, what to take from that book, what to reject from that book, Sri Ramakrishna has already told. The following morning, I think, we take up that following morning tomorrow. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhirīditam Kalmashāpaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadaatatam Bhuvi Grunanti Ye Bhurida Jana. This book contains the nectar of life. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.